Welcome to the Military Millionaire Podcast. All right, that's about as good as it gets, guys. Welcome back to the show. This is Dave, your host, and today's episode is with Scott OShaughnessy, who has been in the Facebook group for a while. He gives a lot of great information. I finally hit him up and said, "Why have you not been on my show yet?" So here he is. And Scott is a retired naval officer who's been doing real estate since 1995, which is a lot longer than a lot of my guests. So he's been through a recession, and he's got some really good advice, some really good knowledge, and just a really smart guy. In fact, he stayed after the call to help me out with some situations that I'm dealing with to help me walk through and get some good coaching. Probably should have recorded that, but Scott is awesome. This episode is full of just all kinds of cool, different ideas. We talk about a couple different ideas that we don't really talk about in a lot of other podcasts. We talk about lease options, the lease option sandwich, and some affiliate marketing, which is just cool to diversify a little bit. So without further ado, here's the show. But as always, show notes are found at frommilitarytomillionaire.com/podcast. Now relax and enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Military Millionaire Podcast, a show about real estate investing for the working class. Stay tuned as we explore ways to help you improve your finances, build wealth through real estate, and become a person that is worth knowing.
What's up, guys? Today I wanted to stop and sponsor my own podcast by myself, which is a little cheesy, to tell you about the course that I'm launching called From Zero to One, Real Estate Investing for Beginners. Now, this is not a course to help you get rich fast. This is not a course to promise you to make $1 bajillion, but this is the course that will help you get from 0 rental properties to 1 rental property. It is designed to get you through your first purchase. Everything you need to know to get you through that step, with support from myself, obviously via email and whatever, so that we can talk and I can help answer some of those questions for you. And it is extremely affordable right now because I'm launching it for only $97, which, given the amount of content in there and the testimonials I got from the people who tested it beforehand, I am super on the low end for that price, but I'm going to probably have to bump it up in a little while. But for now, to test the waters and see exactly how many people I'm able to help with this, I want it to be extremely affordable because I want to help service members and veterans get their feet in the water. So if you are interested in learning about rental properties and you just want to learn how to get your first one, and then there are some bonus episodes in there to help you advance past that. But if you really just want to know everything you need to know to buy your first property without screwing yourself over, this is the course for you. Go ahead and check it out. The link will be down below in the show notes. And back to your episode. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dave, and I'm here with Scott OShaughnessy. And Scott is a retired naval officer who, he says he's an engineer by trade, real estate investor by choice, and he does marketing by default. And so he's been retired for a while, and he's been playing the real estate game for longer than a lot of my guests have. So this is going to be exciting. We got connected because he's very active in the Facebook group. And one day I said, why have we not talked? And here we are. So
Totally
Scott,
agree.
welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
You bet. Like I said, I'm a retired naval officer. I actually enlisted in the Navy in 1987, straight out of high school. Did about 14 years, and then got picked up as a limited duty officer, or a warrant officer, is what's equivalent for most people. So a field promotion. So I did my time in the trenches, started out in boot camp just like everybody else, and then went all the way through and made it up to lieutenant, which would be captain, for you guys in the Marines and the Army and stuff. And just realized that it wasn't a lot of fun anymore. 10-month deployments and being gone from mama and the kids. Just, we were both like, yeah, this is too much like work. It's no fun anymore. So it was time to hang it up and move in, pursue some other results.
Absolutely. So you got out of the Navy. How did you get into real estate originally?
As the wife puts it, I've always had a fascination. She uses other terms, but we'll keep it family related for real estate. I don't know. Maybe it comes a lot from, we bounced around a lot as kids with my parents, and so we never really had a place to call our own. So it was something that would just really, it's like, hey, I've got a means to do it. I want to do it, and I always understood that real estate was kind of someplace I wanted to be. And, long deployments, you read a lot of books and everything else. So, of course, Rich Dad, Poor Dad comes into play. And then so about 1995, actually started back in 91, but then I ended up getting transferred down to San Francisco, started looking for a house. And so 95, finally got around to getting one, and was house hacking before it was termed house hacking. It just always made sense because we didn't get the off-base BAH and everything else like a lot of these kids do nowadays. Yeah. So it was very used to us for guys who are in the Navy that we'd have 6 of us, kind of have a rotating beds in places in a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom house or condo, wherever we were stationed at. So I naturally did that, bought a duplex with my VA benefits, and was cash flowing from day one. With move a bunch of my buddies into the other side, move my best friend into one of the other rooms, and I was hooked. It's like, man, this is the greatest thing in the world. Why aren't more guys doing it, right?
Yeah.
And that was back in 1995.
Man, that's awesome. So that's cool. So I mean, the fact that it just naturally happened, because you're right. Nobody was podcasting. Podcasts weren't a thing yet, so nobody was out talking about house hacking yet. And it's such a great idea. It really is. And I tell people all the time, especially for young officers, because they get the housing allowance right out the gate. I'm like, man, if there were like 3 or 4 young officers live in a house together, that's like the perfect scenario. And I see, a lot of people want their own place, and I guess I get it. But like, I think back to me, my first enlistment was all roommates in different barracks rooms. And like, man, if I had been able to live in a house, a separate room would have been nicer than what I was living in. So why would I not house hack? Yeah.
What's the difference? Oh God. Yeah. Having 4 guys in a room with a shower, and you're kind of like, yeah, definitely having your own room with a place to go is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So was house hacking, did you do a lot more of that throughout the coming years?
No, actually we didn't, because, sorry about the background noise. But we didn't, because I ended up meeting my wife and getting together with her, and she was like, nah, not so big on this roommate thing. So we kind of went from there, and just ended up. We started doing what I called, what in my terms was really house hacking at the time. Of finding the worst house in the best neighborhood we could afford, the value add play, little elbow grease. We go through every place we got stationed. We buy that, fix it up, and turn around and sell it for a profit. And that's when I was like, I got this real estate thing down. I know how to invest. I know what we're doing.
Awesome. So a couple live-in flips, a house hack, a couple live-in flips. And I completely understand the wife not wanting. I don't know that I'd ever be able to convince my spouse to do that. Although duplex, that's not an issue, but I don't know that I'd ever be able to have roommates in the house as well. Who knows? That's not an easy sell for a lot of people.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, all right. So then you did a couple live-in flips, and then, I guess I'd just be curious, like, where's it gone since then? You've been doing this for a while, so.
It's been kind of the same thing. Well, we got out of the game for a little bit. Okay. I got stationed down, got sent back out to sea, got orders right around 2007. And we were looking at a new place and everything else. And the wife kind of got this gut feeling of, hey, something's wrong. We shouldn't be able to afford this much, just kind of all of that. You're going to be leaving. How about we just rent a place? And it's like, okay, sure. I'm leaving. Not a big deal. Well, that leaving turned into a 10-month deployment, which turned into the debacle of 2008 and after that
and everything else.
Exactly. So we ended up getting out of the game for a while as far as that was concerned, and just focusing on the what we were doing, and then turn around and move back up here to Seattle in 2012. And basically we're doing a house hack now. Bought a place like days before foreclosure where they were actually going to do it on it. Got it uber cheap. And so it's going to turn out pretty nice for us on the end. So that's kind of what the wife and I do, along with doing a few other strategies that we've done in the meantime. Done a couple of flips, realized that is not part of my investor ID. I'm too old. I don't like the stress. I don't like dealing with it. But if the right one comes along, I'm open to it. But, that's really kind of what we're doing. Got a buddy of mine, I'm working with him doing short-term rentals. Took a great class by Mr. Jay Massey, who teaches cash flow diaries. Yeah. And through the Renatus, which is an education company who I'm a member with. And so kind of working with them and kind of plodding along.
You know, it's funny. I just met someone who works with Jay Massey 2 nights ago. So
yeah, he's really big in the Orange County area.
Yeah, that's awesome. That must be that's the probably the single most valuable gut feeling I've ever heard of somebody having. You guys dodged a bullet by not buying in 2007. It sounds like.
Oh, huge. We did and we didn't. We did dodge a big bullet with that, but we had gone through and refied the duplex that I had mentioned that we originally got with the into a conventional loan with the intention of buying something else with my VA loan. Well, turns out, all the bailout programs and all the rest of that stuff were great so long as you didn't have a standard conventional loan.
Oh.
So when we were upside down and trying to do, restructure everything, that one. So it was, we ended up dodging, like a 45, but kind of got grazed by a 22. So, it wasn't bad. We just kind of wetted it out and we still cash flowed. We were okay. So it really wasn't that bad.
Yeah. Just frustrating.
Just very frustrating.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I know before the show you mentioned lease options. Do you do a lot of lease option stuff?
It's I haven't done a lot yet, and lots of relative term, but it's kind of a strategy I've gotten into and started looking at because the housing market is so tight up here in Seattle, and we've kind of peaked and taken a turn. That and everybody likes the big sexy, the fix and flip, all the shows and all the rest of that, and it's just too. It's too tight of a margin for the amount of money that we play with up here. When your median price of a house is well over $500,000, which I'm sure you're very familiar with down there, and it's kind of like why am I playing with that much money and only making 20, 30 grand?
Oh yeah,
It's to me it just doesn't make a lot of sense. So I turned to lease options and figuring out how to do those and working with some long-term landlords and some people who are moving out of their place, and it's much easier to come up with 20 grand that way than it is to try and work through 6 months of contractors and parts and materials and people and everything else and dealing with lenders and hard money and all the rest of that to get her done.
So are you trying to buy on lease option, or are you buying and then trying to sell it back on lease option? Are you trying to
doing a sandwich? Yeah.
So you mind elaborating on that a little bit?
Oh yeah.
I haven't had anyone on the show who's talked about that yet, and I've
no kidding
personally. So
it is a beautiful strategy. Okay, and basically what you do is you buy something on a lease option, and then we've got a gal in our Renatus community who's freaking brilliant at this, and she calls herself the queen of the $10 down deal. She's bought probably 50 plus houses with $10 as a down payment. So you go through on a lease option or maybe even a subject to purchase contract, something like that. Then you turn around and basically you do a sandwich on it. You negotiate you set up your deal with them on the low end of the rental scale and everything else. And then you turn around, and when you're doing it on a lease option, you set all your stuff up on the higher end because you're looking for people who make good money, but they don't have great credit. A lot of self-employed people and stuff, a lot of your professionals, your lawyers, your doctors, and a lot of these guys, they make decent money, but, they don't have, especially for self-employed, they don't have a great credit history. And trying to qualify for a loan nowadays is very difficult unless these guys are making a lot of money. And as well as I do, if you go with your taxes, you're probably only making 30, 60 grand a year.
Yeah.
In your adjusted gross income. So when you're looking at trying to buy a $500,000 house, making 60 grand a year adjusted income, it's just not going to cut it. Nobody's going to give you a loan.
No, absolutely.
So you get them in there, you get them seasoned, you can show that they're making payments, that they're doing everything. And so when they go to talk to the bank, now they've got somebody who's been there, they've got some built-in equity, they've got some seasoning there. The bank's like, oh, okay, yeah, this we're just basically refinancing this thing, not a big deal.
Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering our listeners a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. just go to audibletrial.com/military millionaire. Now, why Audible? Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, and entertainers. I listen to Audible every single day on my commute to and from work. Now, to download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/military millionaire.
Which is cool because you're right. You're tapping into a niche of people that you would want as a tenant who have money, who aren't going to disappear on you. And I mean, even if they did, you collect another lease option fee. So, hey, it works out for you, but.
Exactly. And you're dealing with people who are owners. All right. Thanks, buddy.
Monday dinner?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Sun just popped in, like I mentioned.
No worries.
So you tap into a market that these people want to be owners. So they treat the house like it's theirs because they want it. You're not dealing with a tenant. So it's a totally different mind shift and a mindset that these guys have. So it's really kind of nice. And you can be a little bit more flexible about maintenance and about, taking care of stuff. And especially if they're, depending on how you structure it, you can really increase your cash flow much more so than, say, a traditional rental.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really cool option. And especially like you said, in a market like this where you might get tapped out on loans or you might not have a down payment for a lot of stuff, it allows you, it's kind of like I don't want to say the best of both worlds with a seller finance, but it's like a cross between, seller financing and renting. I mean, it's an awesome strategy that I haven't gotten to use yet, but I'm very interested in doing so.
All right, let's talk some more. We'll see what you can get you going.
Sounds good. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like I mentioned, the house that I got kind of stuck on. That's one of my plans is, okay, well, maybe I can lease option it off rather than just straight up sell it and lose some money or whatever. I plan on holding it for a while. Otherwise, I'll never make my money back. But
right. And to me, it's one of those, it's a long-term wealth strategy. Instead of, you're making passive income, vice the massive income, which, everybody knows in real estate. Like I said, everybody likes the big sexy of, hey, we're making 60 grand a flip and we're doing this. And it's like, okay, that's good, but you're also paying taxes on that. But when you establish a business and your business does the long-term rentals or the lease options or something along those lines, it allows you to funnel a lot of that cash and everything else and keeps that a lot of that stuff above the line of where you're at. So that way your adjusted income is a lot lower and you pay less taxes, but you're still making the same amount of money. So it allows you to live a better lifestyle at a lower amount.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love it. All right. So I know you had said marketing by default, and we mentioned this a little bit before we started recording, but I'm curious, you said you do a little affiliate marketing to help kind of pay the bills. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
I do. It's to me, it's a great strategy. I mean, excuse me. Everybody's got to have a side hustle. All right, when it comes to it, unless your main business is the side hustle, so to speak. I mean, your day job's being a Marine. We all know it. For a long time, mine was being a sailor. So, but real estate itself, until you get to some of the points where, like Tim Kelly, Eric Upchurch, a lot of those guys with ADPI are buying massive apartment complexes. You got to have some way to generate that income to be able to buy your properties, to do your stuff. Some guys like doing flips. It works out for them on some of them. Others, like myself, I like using affiliate marketing to be able to go through, generate the income, and then turn around and use that to go buy properties or invest with other people who I know are doing good things to be able to kind of fund my stuff. I mean, you could even go buy seller finance notes with it. With the money you make. And once again, it's a passive income strategy for a long-term play. And once you know how to do that, that's just a whole nother genre of the real estate investing that most people don't even know about.
Yeah. I just bought probably my second book on playing the notes game, because it's very intriguing to me. It's and I didn't realize, so I read the book Invest in Debt, and I read it after I bought out all my seller financing from this guy. But I guess I made a brilliant move and had no idea that I was making a brilliant move. I refinanced, and I just called the guy and said, hey, this is at 18 months on a 5-year note with him. Like, hey, what would you want if I paid you out for, seller financing? And he just gave me whatever the principal was left. I was like, oh,
not bad.
perfect. I paid it. And then I'm reading this book and they're like, if you can convince someone to let you pay them out and not pay interest on the remaining 3.5 years. And so I did the math and it ended up being like less than 1% interest. I paid this guy on the total note if I, kept it all the way out. And I'm like, oh, awesome. Like,
That's awesome.
And I had no idea I was doing it. Now I'm like, man, that's a light bulb. Like I basically borrowed 10 grand from, or whatever the number was, from somebody and paid him nothing.
Yeah. And an effective interest rate of less than 1%.
Yeah. Which is great. I mean, it allowed me to buy this property with less than 10,000 out of pocket. So
nice.
Cool. Yeah. So
yeah, one of the nice things, the real estate education company I work with is the one who I do the majority. I'll just say all. I'm a member of a few other programs, but I use that as kind of a bonus stack for doing that stuff. So it's kind of to me, it's a win-win program, so to speak. You get to teach people how to get into real estate investing, and at the same time, the education company pays me a very, very healthy finder's fee or referral fee for being able to get new students. And it's cool because I get exposed more people to real estate investing and help them along in their journey and bring them into the fold. It's really kind of cool. Puts a big smile on my face.
Yeah, no. So I haven't ever paid into Renatus or what's one of the other ones. I'm drawing a blank right now, but Fortune Builders, that's another one.
Fortune Builders.
And I've got friends who've done both and done very well for themselves. So, hey, I actually used to go to the Renatus cash flow games out in Hawaii.
Nice.
I just I was at this point where I was like, man, it looks like pretty solid educational information. At the time I had like 10 or 15 units under my belt. And I was like, I'd rather just keep the money for something else. But, I had a friend who went through it and loved it. And he's doing very well. So,
yeah, it's really not to get off topic on that or just to focus on it. But the nice thing about it is so many people get into flipping, or like you get 15 properties under your belt, or you get a few other, you get a strategy and you get it down. They're like, I know this. I know what I'm doing. I got this down. And this is one of the things that once I retired and decided I want to start doing real estate full time and everything else, I was of the same mindset. I thought the same things. Like, been a landlord since 1995. I know what I'm doing. I've done some flips with the family and all the rest of that, and and I've never lost money. Haven't always made as much as I wanted to, but I never lost money. Mm. So I was like, all right, we'll take the leap of faith. We'll get in there. And man, you don't know what you don't know. And once you do, you realize, and I realized, oh God, I got lucky. Got lucky on a whole lot of things. And, you had mentioned before the wife and her gut feeling. And yeah, that was a whole lot of lucky along with everything else we were doing. There just is plain dumb luck that, we hadn't screwed things up before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's, people don't like to admit how much luck does play a role in things. So what is it? Hard work meets opportunity. There
you go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, I always like to ask if a young E1, E2 or service member was to walk up to you and ask for advice for real estate or whatever, what do you think would be like the first thing you would tell them?
Get educated. Just like anything we do in a service, they don't teach you how, they don't let you go fire a gun or a weapon before they teach you how to use it. Working for a piece of equipment until they teach you how to use it. Everything we do in the service is all based off of education, and you have varying degrees of proficiency before you get out there and do it. Real estate is no different. Yeah, it's really easy for us, and we were in a unique position because of having our VA benefits that we could take advantage of while we're actually still active duty. So we have that income and stuff, that kind of safety net coming in. But if you can go in and get educated ahead of time and learn a little bit instead of just, hey, I'm going to go buy a house and house hack, or I'm just going to do this because I listened to a podcast or something like that, you're probably going to do okay. But when you learn some of the nuances and some of the little hacks you can go about doing this stuff, you're going to do so much better. Mm-hmm. And you realize how much money, once you do get there, how much money you left on the table, and you're going to kick yourself a little bit. So just learn, slow down a little bit. Take 6 months to dive into something, whether it be your podcast, All right. Working with ADPI, Renatus. Not a big fan of bigger pockets, because I think there's a lot of guys out there who aren't as ethical as they should be. But sorry about that.
No.
But most of them are. There's good information, but God, please just don't rely on YouTube University.
Yeah, you get out there and actually, I don't share it, I have a YouTube channel and I try to keep everything fairly basic, because it's like there's just getting in the weeds is very situational specific. And if you start digging into the weeds on stuff and someone takes your advice when it doesn't apply to their situation, I don't want to be that guy.
No, I don't blame you at all. When I do study groups for our Renatus group up here in Seattle on Thursday nights, and constantly, up there facilitating and leading and kind of going over the different classes and stuff when they have. And I constantly get asked, Scott, what would you do on this? Or how should I do that? And I tell you, 90% of the time, the first answer to the question or the first sentence out of my mouth is, it depends.
Yep.
Because every market's different. Everybody's situation is different. So you have to look at that and understand it going in. So it's and you know what, my compadres there, they get tired of me and they all kind of chuckle because I'll stop, I'll look at them, and they're like, it depends, doesn't it? And I'm like, you guys have got it. You understand.
It does depend, and I hate answering that way, but it absolutely. And that's even right now. I'm telling myself. I mean, I've got my yellow pad over here that as soon as we're done talking, I'm going to go through my million different options for how to finish out this property, because it does depend. And I'm like, I got to basically just write it all out on paper and then say, I don't know, somebody whose emotions aren't involved, tell me what I do.
There you go.
Which one of these is the most logical?
Shoot them on over. Let's bounce some stuff off.
Sounds good. So what is, I know we've probably already touched on it a little bit, but what's a resource that you would recommend to anyone looking to get started in real estate?
Well, first off, find yourself a good mortgage broker to go out there. Chris Griffith from Vetted VA.
Yeah.
Big shout out to that guy. I love what he stands for and I love what he does. And he's got a good network of people all across the country for you to be able to talk to, and they understand the benefits that we have. I've worked with a couple of different mortgage brokers over my years. I've had one. She's been my go-to gal. Her husband is a retired E9 in the Navy, Master Chief. Great guy. And so she's been my go-to gal for years. She understands our benefits and everything else. She's since retired. Normally I'd send people to her, but go talk to Chris and his team, and so you understand what you can and can't do with the benefits that we have available to us. And then so that's the first resource. The second, I said, get educated, find yourself a good system. There's a lot of decent programs out there. I'm partial to Renatus. Like I said, bigger pockets, not a big fan of. Fortune Builders does okay, but their business model, from the way I see it, it's always an upsell. It's always something, for the next program or whatever else. But there's good information in some of the basics that are out there. And then or just get to some of your local RIAs and talk to some people and get out there. And of course, feel free to reach out to me. I'll point you in the right direction, or tell you kind of, what I know or what my opinion is. And we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap this up, is there anything we missed? Any parting advice, big ideas?
No, not any big ideas. I mean, it's this stuff, whether it be marketing, whether it be real estate, other than learning what I call either cash flow banking, which is kind of an advanced system with insurance and banking and everything, or learning how some advanced market strategies. In the last, 30 plus years, I've been studying this stuff. None of this stuff is new. Maybe you get a different package or something like that, whether, like I said, real estate or marketing, but a lot of it's out there. You just got to learn how to apply it for your situation. And sometimes it's just connecting with the right people to explain it to you in a way that makes sense to you. That's one of the reasons, I like your Facebook group and your channel, and some of the others that I've mentioned, is they break it down for us from a veteran's point of view of how we handle stuff. You get the old gun, he's just standing you in the face and listen, I'm going to break it down to you Barney style, so pay attention, or some old Master Chief, just kind of, hey, this is the way it is. And so sometimes that's what you need. And other times, you want somebody a little slicker so you can understand the process.
That's a fine balance for sure.
It is.
Awesome. Well, Scott, where can people reach out? Where can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook. It's Scott O'Shaughnessy. You would think there's only one of me, but there's about a half a dozen. So you'll see it's Scott O'Shaughnessy, a.k.a. Shaggy. That's on there. You can always contact me at scott@goatlockerrealestate.com. So that's my Goat Locker Real Estate's my real estate investing company. And then, connect to us on any of the groups, whether it be yours or Vetted VA or some of the other ones that are out there. And I'm always happy to share some advice, go through and just connect with people and see what I can do to help them out.
Absolutely. I love it. There's a lot of good information in here, and I'm excited to see who reaches out to you for find out some more information about lease options or live-in flips or even the roommate house hacking. I'm hoping that there's some young officers listening to this who are like, light bulb. Oh,
I hope so. Let me tell you, it made it great. I could forward, something that was well beyond my means at the time. This was before we got BAH and everything else. So God, you guys have got an opportunity. Take advantage of it.
What really grinds my gears is, as an enlisted guy, is I hear about the career starter loan that officers can get through. I think it's through USAA, where it's
through USAA,
like $25,000 or $30,000, like no interest or whatever for. Or some interest, but basically
it's some interest, but it's not much.
Yeah. And so I found out about that. I had no idea about that until probably 6 months ago. And I found out about it. And then I started talking to people and I realized like 95% of the people who took that career starter loan bought a car or something, and
ridiculous.
I'm like, oh my goodness, that was a down payment for a house that you could have bought. Not that you need the down payment, but you could have bought a house that needed work, put $30,000 into it, and
I know it.
lived with a bunch of roommates and missed opportunities.
Oh yeah, man! Imagine you get some O1 or even an O1E. Maybe you got a guy who, does 4 years, gets out, or while he's on his GI Bill or something like that, managed to get his commission, goes in, gets that loan, uses his VA, buys a fourplex, takes that $30,000 to dump into it to do a little value add. It's just mind boggling what these guys can do. But unfortunately, let's think about it. What were we thinking about in our early 20s?
Women, tattoos, Harleys.
Exactly.
Yep.
Wheels, girls. It definitely wasn't a house. That happened later in my 20s. Yeah. So,
exactly.
It's one of those, you don't know what you don't know. And so unless you're brought up that way, and Lord knows our education system, whether it be standard public education and definitely inside the military doesn't teach us about this stuff. So, me, like you and a lot of other guys, I've kind of made my mission once I've retired to go out and try and educate guys to get to this and take advantage of the benefits you have.
Absolutely. Well, Scott, thank you very much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
You bet, David. I'm happy to be here. Invite me back anytime. I'd be more than happy to hop on. We can deep dive in some of these little topics we had mentioned and kind of go from there.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that'd be good.
All right. I like it.
Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you for listening to another episode about my journey from military to millionaire. If you liked it, be sure to visit FromMilitaryToMillionaire.com/podcast to subscribe to future podcasts. While you're there, we'd love for you to rate the show, give us a review on iTunes. Now get out there and take action.